The people of Kenya up to the 19th century. Kushites and origins. Luanda is taking his day off to go into the city of Kisumu. On the matatu, into town, he hears many Kenyan languages that are not Luo or Kiswahili, making him think about where all these people came from. Upon arriving, he accidentally wanders into a big building, not realizing it is one of the National Kenyan Museums. He doesn't realize where he is until it is too late. As he goes for the exit, a man stops him.
Oh, hello there, young man. You must be here for the guided tour.
Oh, actually, I was just on my way out.
Nonsense. It is 9 a.m. on the dot, and it looks like you are the only one here, which makes it a private tour, I guess.
It's Saturday.
And?
Nothing, mister. Let's go.
Great. I'm glad you accepted, because usually no one here shows up.
I wonder why.
What? Never mind. Let's go. And call me Dr. Griffin. Griffin for short.
I am Luanda Magere.
I have heard your tale. It is about the Luo fighting the Kalenjin who had to use deceit and a beautiful woman to bring him down. Oh, how many different backgrounds have made such great stories.
Do you know stories in other local languages as well? I heard a lot of different tongues on the bus ride in.
Of course, I am a doctor after all. The background of Kenya is a great and rich history important to knowing who we are today.
Is this part of the tour?
It is now. Follow me and keep quiet. Now, you must understand the Khoisan are the first group of people thought to inhabit Kenya, followed by the southern Kushites who pushed them out of the savanna grasslands.
Southern? I only know of the eastern Kushites.
Yes, it is believed the Bantu and Nilotes absorbed the southern Kushites and assimilated them. This means these groups entered Kenya around the same time, being the 1st century. It wasn't until the mid-18th century that they were found to be settled around where they are today.
Where did all these people appear from?
Ask me something I don't know, young man. They all came from different directions, as you can see. The origins of the Kushites being from the Horn of Africa. The Bantus being from the Niger, Chad, and Cameroon regions. And the Nilotes came from the Nile Basin and the southern Ethiopian region.
All right. Another question then. What about Mombasa and the coast? You haven't said anything about that yet.
Easy. The 8th century saw the beginning of Arab background arriving on the coast, and by the 14th century had trading posts set up. Hence, this is why Kiswahili has Arabic background. Do you know the Arabic word for book?
No, I'm a Kenyan.
Of course. It is kitab. Sounds familiar?
Whoa, you are like a walking Wikipedia.
Now, we have arrived at this month's special exhibit on the Eastern Kushites.
No southern because they are not around?
The Sanye are believed to be the remainders of the southern Kushites, but very small group. Now, the Eastern Kushites are groups such as Gala, Somali, Borana, among others. They moved from the Arabia to the Horn of Africa about 1000 BC and made their way into present-day Somalia, a northern part of Kenya.
So, were they like part of the same team since they were all Kushites?
Well, not really. The Oromo and Somali had many conflicts about land that did not even get solved until the 20th century. The Oromo were so forceful they even kicked the Bantu out of their coastal land.
Wow. So, why are they so keen to be moving if it results in violence?
You apparently don't have any siblings to share things with at home. A crowded area is always a good reason to move. give some what my Mzungu friends say elbow room. Also, the area that comes from was very arid and desert-like. This led to many droughts, famine, and epidemics. This resulted in no pastures or water for livestock, so they needed a place to grow food.
And the beckoning of exploration?
Yes, that drove some people. That was a pull factor for some. But a major push factor was internal conflicts. But wouldn't you know, conflict seems to follow.
What? Are you trying to fight me, old man?
Love to see you try. No. What I mean is that although the Kushites moved, they still found themselves fighting in the new land, as mentioned earlier with the Somali and Oromo. The Oromo forced the Bantu to move, causing some displacement, and as a result, redistribution of populations.
Well, was there any not bad effects?
These new groups brought new ideas, and I guess that is a positive effect. These range from religion, such as Islam, to economic activities, leading to increased trade of both goods and culture. A few military alliances were formed too, like between Rendile and Samburu. But I don't know if that is a positive.
I think that would foster relationships between tribes, like a marriage.
You are absolutely right. And as the tribes settled, there was a lot of intermingling, which led to assimilation and adoption of communities and culture, like with the Bantu.
Ban who?
Really? You are pulling my leg.
Yep, I know who they are.
Tell me then.
No, I really should be going.
Time for free lunch?
Okay, I can stay.
There is immense evidence to confirm that East Africa was the cradle of humankind. Archaeological evidence, for example, the tools found at Kobifora, Legazaile, Karianduzi, Dongwe, around Lake Victoria, Lugenya Hills, near Lake Naivasha show that Kenya was inhabited by Stone Age people. There is also evidence of use of iron use in Kenya dating back as AD 720 at Ruwe, Nyangia in Siaya, and in Kwale.
Good afternoon from moms. Today we are going to handle a new topic. The new topic is the people of Kenya up to the 19th century. The people of Kenya up to the 19th century. The 19th century is in short form. Who are these people of Kenya up to the 19th century? Before we look at the people of Kenya up to the 19th century, we have to know who was in Kenya before other people started migrating into Kenya. The original people that settled in Kenya before the 19th century, that is around 10th AD, were the Bushmen, related to the Bushmen of South Africa. The Bushmen related to the people of South Africa. These Bushmen in Kenya have various names according to the communities that they found, according to the communities that came into Kenya. For example, the Maasai call these Bushmen the Dorobo. The Kalenjins call them Okiek. The Luya people call them Omuye. And the Agikuyu people call them the Athi Gumba. The Athi Gumba. These were the original people that were in Kenya before others migrated into Kenya. So they were not here for long before others came in. The The other people who came to Kenya later on, finding the Bushmen in Kenya, were 4 language groups. The 4 language groups were the Bantu, we have the Nilotes, we have the Kushites, and then we have the Semites. Number 4, the Semites. This is roughly the map of Kenya. This is Mountain Kilimanjaro. This is the famous Lake Rudolph. And that is roughly the sketch of Kenya. Roughly the sketch of Kenya. That's why we are talking about the peoples of Kenya up to 19th century. So the original people who are here before others came in were the Bushmen. And then other language groups started streaming into Kenya, at least by 1800. At least by 18th century. 1700, that is 18th century, 1800, that is 17th century, that is around 1800. Where did these people come from? The people who came to Kenya, let's look at roughly the map of Africa. This is the Kenya we are talking about. And these language groups started entering Kenya from different directions of Africa. The Bantus originated from West Africa. So from West Africa, they eventually found themselves in Kenya and South Africa. I'm talking about the Bantus. And because we are interested in Kenya, we are going to follow 4 language groups that originated from Congo. We have those who followed the western route. We have those who followed the eastern route. And we have those who followed the southern route. We are not interested in looking at the Bantus who migrated towards South Africa. We are interested with the Western Bantu and the Eastern Bantu. They originated from Congo. And then we have the famous Nilotes. The famous Nilotes originated from somewhere, the Ethiopian highlands. And as they moved southwards, they entered Kenya through Lake Turkana. The Kushites, we are told, originated from somewhere, the northern part of Africa, and found their way to Kenya through here, through the eastern direction. The Nilotes followed this route from the Ethiopian highlands. And then we have the Kushites, who followed the northeastern section coming to Kenya. The Semites moved all the way from Arabia, because most of them were Arabs after all. So they came settling at the coastal part of Kenya. These are the 4 language groups that we have in Kenya. That is, as they migrated from their areas, they started their journey, according to the historians. They talk about 10th AD to 1,000 years ago. That is when they started coming into Kenya. And we are told these people had started settling in Kenya by the 18th century. What have we said? Before other language groups came to Kenya, we had the original people who settled here. These original people who settled here are related to the Bantus of South Africa. And our people refer to them by various groups I mean, they refer to them, they've given them different names according to where these people are located. For example, the Maasais call them the Dorobo, the Kalenjins call them the Ukiek, the Luya call them the Omuye, and the Adikuyu call them the Adi Gumba. So, as the others started streaming in, migrating into Kenya, they found these people here. And when we talk about migration, our people didn't enter Kenya the way the Israelites did when they were crossing the Red Sea. So these people, it took them so long before they started settling here. At least they started by 1,000 years wherever they were, and by 1800 they had already settled in Kenya. Most of the Bantus, because we've said, the Bantus followed the western route, the eastern route, those who came to Kenya. The western Bantu followed this route, settling in Uganda initially, but eventually they found themselves in Kenya through Mount Elgon. Some of them decided to use the southern, from the western route. Some of them followed southwards route towards the Kuria region. Before settling in Kuria, the Kuria region followed this route. But the other societies like the Abaluya, for example, we are talking about the Bantus. The Abaluya followed this route. The northeastern part of Lake Victoria, the northern shores of Lake Victoria found themselves in Mount Elgon and started settling, spreading around the eastern part of Mount Elgon. They would have been here for long, but we had other societies who are moving downwards, the Nilotes who are moving downwards. At least they made the Abaluya people settle around here. We had the Abaluya, we also had the Ababusi. They settled around here and then later on spread, of course with the influence of the migration of the Nilotes. So the Bantu settled around Mount Kenya and then later on spread. And then we had the Ababusi. The Ababusi people settled at Ramogi Hills, just on the northern side of Lake Victoria. And I've said they would have been here for long, but other societies also displaced them. They settled in Nyando. I'm talking about the Ababusi. They settled in Nyando, later on moved to Kericho district, and from Kericho district, the Kalenjins forced them to go and settle where they are today. That is the Busi Highlands. These are the Bantus that followed the western route. And then we had these other Bantus that settled around Taita Hills. Taita Hills is supposed to be in Tanzania. We have Taita Hills in Tanzania. They settled here for some times. But because of various reasons, they eventually found themselves entering into the coastal region and found a very large settlement that was referred to as Shungwaya. I'm saying it was referred to as Shungwaya because history is very sensitive with time, so it was referred to as Shungwaya. But they were not here for long. We are told we had the Kushites who are moving downwards also. They were migrating downwards, and because they were a little bit stronger, they dispersed the Bantus who were in Shungwaya. These Kushites that dispersed the Bantus at Shungwaya were referred to as the Gala. Sometimes they are also referred to as the Oromo people. These are the Bantus from West Africa. They settled here by following two routes, the western route and the eastern route. And these are exact places where they followed. The Nilotes, I told you, through Lake Turkana, found large settlement just around Lake Turkana before they started quarreling among themselves. And the Karamoja moved towards Uganda. We had the Teso people who moved to Uganda also through Mount Elgon. But some Teso people also were left behind in Kenya here as the others moved to Uganda. We also had another wave of the Nilotes that was referred to as the Kalenjins. The Kalenjins, through Lake Turkana, found themselves already settling on the Kenya highlands, the famous Kenya highlands. They came in different groups. The Kalenjins is composed of different subgroups. Like, for example, we have the Kipsigis, we have the Nandi, we have the Pokot, and other language groups. They settled on the highlands, and following them was also another language group that we refer to as the Ma people. The Ma people also followed through Lake Victoria. The Ma people found themselves settling in the vast areas of Wasingishu that was referred to as Sirikwa during that time. They settled in Sirikwa, but later on, because they fought one another for so long, as they entered Sirikwa, that is Wasingishu, they never stayed here for so long because they started fighting one another. They had a civil war among themselves because some of them had decided to borrow some culture from the Abaluya people, the art of cultivation. And because others had already developed cultivation, some of them did not like it. So they started quarreling among themselves because they felt that they were no longer one. Those who settled on agriculture, of course mixed farming, were Kwavi Maasais. Kwavi Maasai. And those who chose to be pure Maasais were referred to as the Purko. What am I saying? As they entered Wasingishu, they divided themselves into two because we had those who adopted farming from the Luya people. They referred to themselves as the Kwavi. The other were the Purko Maasais. And because they no longer were one, they started fighting themselves, weakening themselves. After they fought, some of them decided to go as far as Narok and eventually moved to Tanzania. Those who chose to be pure pastoralists, we are told they moved towards Mount Kenya, that is to Nanyuki area, where the Europeans found them. But we are told eventually they moved to Ngong and then joined their brothers in Tanzania. These are the Nilotes. The Kushites, of course, has a very short history. They came to Kenya through the northeastern part. Of course, there were so many language groups. We had the Gala, we had the Somali, we had the Gabra, we had the Rendile, and many others. Through Kenya, they eventually found a large settlement, some of them that are referred to as the Southern Kushites. We had, of course, those who remained on the northeastern part. We had those who moved towards the southern part. We refer to them as the Southern Kushites. These are the Iragi. And of course, the Purungi. They decided to settle here as others moved towards Tanzania. These are the 4 language groups that entered Kenya before 1800. And of course, before we conclude the lesson, we have to look at the reasons why some of these people kept on migrating from one place to the other. The reasons why most of these societies came to Kenya from other regions are the high population, of course. After people settling in an area for quite some time, the population grew mean by natural calamities? Natural calamities are, of course, when Mother Nature sometimes decide to bring floods, diseases, and so on. Other people are forced to migrate because of natural calamities. Other reasons. The third reason why people are migrating from one place to the other and eventually found themselves in Kenya is as a result of when others were moving, others also decided to move. When others decide to move, it's because their relatives have already gone. They want to join their relatives. And you know, Africans, they would always want to be one, they would always want to stay in one region because they shared common ceremonies, marriages, burials, and so on. So others moved because others were moving. Another reason why these people are also moving is as a result of external conflicts. External conflicts. External conflict is when a society decides to fight another society. That is an external attack. A society attacking another society. That is what we refer to as external conflicts. Of course, when such things occur, others will be forced to move. Especially those who are vulnerable, who are weaker will always want to move, leaving the stronger societies behind. We also had another reason why these people moved. They moved because of internal conflicts. Internal conflicts. That is, a clan may decide to settle somewhere, and after settling there for quite some time, you realize they have their own differences. Maybe others will decide to steal other people's property and such like things. Of course, they fight amongst themselves. And as they fight amongst themselves, others are normally forced to move. These are the reasons why these people migrated from their original homelands, that is their cradle land, to Kenya. These are some of the reasons that made them move. And to make it clear, these people moved from other areas and it took them so long before arriving to Kenya. Imagine from the 10th AD, after the death of Christ, these people had already settled in Kenya around 1800. And the people of Kenya have not stopped migrating. They are still migrating. That is why in Kenya here we still have people migrating from one district to another region. A good example is the Abagusi. From their homeland, Gusii Highlands, they have migrated to other areas. I want to say, if you look at Molo, for example, where we are, this is an extension of Kisii. So many of them are already settling here. What am I saying? We are still migrating. Any question? Do you have any question from anybody before we conclude the lesson? If there is no question, what have I said? The people of Kenya are divided into 4 language groups: the Bantu, the Nilotes, the Kushites, and the Semites. I've said these people were not originally here. They entered Kenya and found a community that already existed here, Bushmen. And these are the reasons that made these people move: high population, natural calamities, external conflicts, internal conflicts, and so many other minor reasons. But these are the main reasons why they moved. These are the main reasons why they moved.
Let's now look at the Khoisan. According to oral tradition, the earliest people to occupy Kenya were of the Khoisan stock. They had similar features like the Goigoi and the San of South Africa, the Sandwe and Hadza of Tanzania. Let's look at the cultural aspects of the Khoisan. Number one, they spoke a language with clicking sound like the Khoikhoi of South Africa. Number two, they were hunters and gatherers. They hunted animals, for example, lions, and gathered fruit, for example, cassava. Number three, they gathered wild fruits in the wild and dug up tubers and roots for their foods. Number four, they fished in rivers and lakes using harpoons. Number five, they lived in rock shelters. Number six, they made fire by friction. Let's now look at the groups of Kushites. There are two groups of Kushites. The first one is the Southern Kushites. The second one is the Eastern Kushites.
Kushites in Kenya, Kushites in Kenya, ora medile rabla, Oromo, Boni, Somali, Orma, Dialog, Sani. Kushites in Kenya, Kushites in Kenya, ora medile rabla, Oromo, Boni, Somali, Orma. Southern Kushite, Iraqi, Burundi, Bubu, Hawa, Anamani, Sandawe, Sanye, Enda, Alo. Southern Kushite, Iraqi, Burundi, Bubu, Hawa, Anamani, Sandawe, Sanye, Enda, Alo. Mande speakers, Solinke, Malinke, Ede, Susu, El Mambara, Susu, El Mambara. Mande speakers, Solinke, Malinke, Ede, Susu, El Mambara, Susu, El Mambara. Southern Kushite, Iraqi, Burundi, Bubu, Hawa, Aramani, Sandawe, Sanye, Enda, Halo. Southern Kushite, Iraqi, Burundi, Bubu, Hawa, Aramani, Sandawe, Sanye, Enda, Halo. Mande speakers, Solinke, Malinke, Nende, Susu, El Mambara, Susu, El Mambara. Mande speakers, Solinke, Malinke, Nende, Susu, El Mambara.
Let's start with the Southern Kushites. They might have entered Kenya. They might have entered present-day Kenya through the northern Kenya and seem to have originated from the Ethiopian highlands. Since they were pastoralists, they must have been looking for better pastures for their livestock when they entered Kenya. Around 2500 and 3000 years ago, they were already occupying the grasslands of the Kenya highlands, cultivating food crops like sorghum, millet, and rearing long-horned humbless cattle. They even extended up to Tanzania. They include the Iraq, Boni, and Purungi of Tanzania, the Dahalo or Sanye of the lower Tana, the remaining southern Kushites only in Kenya. Some were later observed by the incoming groups. The Eastern Kushites. They include the Barana, Somali, Oromo, Gabra, Rendile, and Burji. They originated either from Ethiopia or Somali, moving and settling into Kenya around 2000 or 1000 years ago due to the following factors. Number one, they were pastoralists in search of pasture and water for their livestock. They wanted to escape pressure in their areas of origin. There was external pressure due to high population, hence they wanted to escape those pressures. Number three, they moved due to clan feuds. Number four, they moved due to attacks from stronger groups such as the Oromo. They also migrated to satisfy their spirit of adventure, the love of adventure or moving. Let's now look at the Eastern Kushites. The first group is the Oromo. The Oromo came into the 16th century from Ethiopia. Initially, they settled on the eastern shores of Lake Turkana. They later moved south, pushing the Mijikenda and the Pokomo out of the Shungwaya to occupy Malindi and Kilifi. Today, they occupy the southern part of Tana River and are neighbors to the Pokomo. Effects of settlement of Oromo in Kenya, the results of now when they settled, what happened in Kenya. Number one is they intermarried with people they came into contact with. For example, they intermarried with Somali, Pokomo, and Borana. Because when we see human beings are social hens, they could have eventually married one another with the groups they came in contact with. The second point, their settlement in Kenya led to the expansion of trade. They expanded trade among themselves. Number three, the settlement led to increased conflict between communities over resources, e.g., pastures and water. Number four, displacement and redistribution of population in the areas where they settled, e.g., the Oromo pushed the Pandus from the Shungwaya region. Number four, displacement and redistribution of people in the areas where they settled, e.g., Oromo pushed the Pandus from Shungwaya region. Number five, assimilation of some communities they came into contact with, e.g., Oromo versus Somali. They were able to assimilate one another. Number six, cultural exchange, e.g., neighboring communities adopted Islam. Number seven, settlement in high agricultural potential areas, e.g., riverine regions encouraged some of them to practice crop farming. Number eight, expansion of agriculture due to demand for agricultural produce. Let's now turn our attention and look at the Borana. Borana are Cushitic speaking people whose origin in southern Ethiopia. Their migration into Kenya was due to escaping the Menelik Wars of Congress in 1897, who had imposed heavy taxes on them. Borana became one of the most recent migrations into Kenya as late as 1900. More Borana groups fled into Kenya from Somalia, running away from the war between the Somali nationalists and the British. Today, they occupy the area north of Tana River. Let's look at the third group, the Somali. The Somali originated from Mogadishu, where they were living by the 10th century AD. They began moving southwards into Kenya around that time, maybe due to the Oromo threat or because they were looking for pastures for their livestock. Somali represent a single group of Eastern Kushites in Kenya. Results of the Cushitic migration into Kenya. What are now the results of Cushites migration into Kenya? The first one is that there was massive warfare during the migration, leading to killing of many people in the process. For example, there was constant warfare between the Somali and the Oromo. Again, the second point, they displaced some of the communities with which they came into contact. e.g., the Oromo pushed the Mijikenda from Shungwaya region in AD 1500 to 1600. They displaced most of the communities they came into contact with. The third point is that they migrated with those people, they intermarried with those people they interacted with. For example, some of the Pokomo assimilated the Somali culture. For example, the concept of circumcision. The fourth point, their settlement led to expansion or development of trade between them and their neighbors, which is they traded with Samburu and the Maasai. But this was due to agriculture they had developed, hence they could more easily sold their surplus profits from the farm to earn a living among them. Number 5, they exchanged culture between them and their neighboring communities. For example, their exchange of Islamic culture. Hence, some communities adopted the way of life of Islamic people. Mhm. The sixth point is that the taboo against eating fish among the Bantus, the age set system, and circumcision has been borrowed from the Kushites. They normally circumcise their boys and girls. The seventh point is that their migration led to an increase in population in Kenya. The Mijikenda, for example, were displaced and settled further. Hence, this led to more population increase in Kenya. Thanks for watching.